Beautiful.
Okay.
Welcome,
Um,
welcome.
welcome back. Episode fill in the blank. I still need to count them up. Like I've literally everything's on the cloud right now. I'm downloading one episode at a time to edit. And I have no idea. But I do know comfortably we're over 10. I know we're comfortably over 10. So
Yeah, I
that's
th-
good.
I
Yeah.
figured we were like this is like episode 10 or
Yeah,
something
this might be
close.
10. This might be 11. I don't know. You'll
Yeah.
know. By next episode, this is my homework. By next episode, I'll let you guys know what episode we're on. So
You
that's my
can
homework.
just edit my little episode 10 blam, blam, blam,
And then we'll come back
into the
with an
spot.
overlay of the actual
Yep.
number. Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Um I want to start off with a little bit of small talk.
Small talk.
Okay.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. A little
I got a
campfire
little
talk.
bit.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit to just wet your whistle. Okay. So
We need
I don't
sound effects.
know.
Future note. I need like a board. Wet your whistle.
Yeah.
Like or something. I don't know.
I was
I don't
thinking
know.
of a whistly.
We
Yeah,
we need
yeah, yeah.
something. We need a little. Okay. So note to self. Sound effects. Okay. Continue.
Okay. Yes. So I don't know if anybody else does this. But I would say on the coffee connoisseur level,
Mm.
one being I drink Folgers,
Ugh, okay.
and to like 10 being like I have every machine
I
and
roast.
I
I
can't
roast my
decide.
own
I
coffee.
roast my own beans,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I would say, I don't know, I'm probably like an 8,
Mhm,
maybe like
mhm, mhm,
I feel like, yeah, because I got my cold brew set up, I got my
mhm.
pour over set up. We have the quick, easy coffee maker if you need it for some large group that doesn't care
I
about their
was gonna
coffee.
say for friends that
Yeah.
come over. Yeah.
Yep, yep. I got the French press. So we got the espresso machine. So
Mhm.
okay, we're there. You have the idea in your mind if you're
Yeah.
listening to this of
Mhm.
where I stand. But I was sitting there making my coffee this morning, my pour over,
Nice.
and I thought, huh, I'm looking into my mug, and I lots of times I go over. So I have my fellow Carter mug. It has a
Love it.
ceramic interior, but it keeps the coffee hot.
I've got 2 of those.
It's got those fancy lip on it to
Mhm.
like it'll allow you all the flavor to
Mhm.
enhance the experience. Um, and what I've been doing lately is I drink some. I never get to the bottom of it, and then I set it on the counter, and the next morning I just pour out the cold coffee, give it a little swish maybe, and then pour in the new coffee.
Nice.
So
Very
this
nice.
morning I had like a little bit of like a, I don't know, there's like a little bit more like chunk at the bottom. It wasn't chunk, but it was just
There's
more
a
like
puddle. There's a small
stain.
puddle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So and I was like, oh, huh. Poured it out. I put a little boiling water in there instead of like the normal just swish of the sink. Pour
Gotcha.
that out. And I'm like, do you think that's bad? Like, am I ruining the flavor? Am I getting bacteria? I mean, I don't feel any effects at the moment, but are you
As Travis's third
always,
eye starts to grow,
yeah.
right? You're like, "Yeah."
You can't see it. You
You
can't
can't
see it if
see
you're
it if you listen
listening,
to
but
audio. It's there,
yeah.
right?
Uh, I'm just curious. Are you a new thermos every time, new mug every time kind of guy? Does that just happen to be the case, or do you find yourself reusing your thermos
Gotcha.
day
So
to
first
day?
off, if you're like us, and I've noticed this on social, a lot of dads are getting into the coffee game. Like that's become a hobby, right?
Yeah,
Like you said, from 0 to 10, no matter where you're at, like you're gonna be relatable to this. So first and foremost, if you're watching, right, this is my shot glass, basically my fellow espresso, right, Americano shot, and just kind of give you guys scale. It's not that big.
I'd like to interject here and say if you call it espresso, you lose half a point on your scale
What do you mean? It's
already.
espresso, right? So my espresso here, and I have one. I don't have mugs. I don't have a lot of other things. I have just this. So
Woo.
what happens is when I'm done with it, and we're stickler because the girls and habits and routines, right? As if you've been listening, you know that's a big thing of mine. So after I finish drinking it, it immediately gets washed. But no matter how well you wash it, there's always going to be that little something at the bottom. So what I do, it's two birds, one stone. I will
Ooh.
fill it about 2/3 of the way up with hot water. We have a hot water dispenser for tea and pour over so that we don't have to wait for tea and pour overs. So I fill that
Oh,
up,
Nelly.
right? Yeah, I know. Right. I fill this up about 2/3 of the way, swish it, and I'll let it sit for a little bit, and then I'll dump it because it does a couple things. Then I'll pull an espresso straight into here, and the cup is warm. So I don't dilute the taste or the flavor because it's cooling, right? If you pour into a cold cup and it's not cold brew, it changes the
Yep.
profile because it cools the espresso immediately. So that's what I do. So two birds with one stone. It cleans it, right? Dumps it out, but then it's already warm. Kind of like a lot of the espresso machines. If you have any kind of ceramic cup on top, it'll kind of the boiler warms up the cup. Same kind of idea, but then I get the cleanliness and I'm ready for my next shot. So yeah, that might happen once, if maybe twice a day. But yeah, I only have one. Don't have
Yep.
any mugs. We like to keep it simple. The only time I'll get another one of this is if this breaks and Fellow makes, we're not plugged by Fellow, by the way. We both just like clean design. Um,
Yes.
Once that breaks, I'll just get another one. But yeah, that's my answer. So very similar to you, sir. And no bacteria, no third eye, a la Doctor Strange happening anytime soon.
I love it. I love it. You're the Steve Jobs of coffee cups. Easy
Literally,
peasy.
not only that, like if you've noticed the clothing profile over the episodes, it's like black and black and black and black and black, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's funny because my kids always get on that like, Dad, don't I like color. What I wear is different from what I like as far as color. So I just keep it because of years ago it helped me with decision making, right? Decision fatigue, as they call it. So if
Yep.
I'm going through my drawer every morning thinking of what to wear, now I don't need to. Literally, it's all black or gray. I'm happy with that. And it makes it simple. So
Wow. Wow. Hey, you know what? I'm a big fan of that. I mean, but yeah, I see I run into this problem because at a certain point, if I chose, out of my 7 or 6 shirts that I have,
exactly.
uh,
I'm the same way. My
if
six
I
shades of
chose
gray.
the wrong colors, if I chose the wrong colors, well, then the shorts don't necessarily match, and then I'm like, oh shoot, now what do I do?
Mhm,
Well, I just wear it anyways.
mhm.
People can make fun of me,
No,
but yeah. Hey, speaking of shirts, I got
I
a
love
new
that, by
one.
the way.
I
I was
don't know
going
if
to
you
make a
noticed.
comment off air on that. The
Yeah,
anti-board, right?
anti-board dad club.
Yeah.
It's a play on the other shirt that I guess the
Yeah.
cool people wear, the anti-social social club.
Yeah.
This is the anti-board dad club,
I love it. And if
courtesy
you're a
of
dad, there's no such thing as being bored as a dad, by the way. If you
yeah.
have kids, that's not part of your vocabulary anymore.
Nope, it's gone. Bid
Yes.
it farewell. Um, yeah. So thanks for sharing.
Hey, great
I
campfires.
appreciate that.
We should make this a thing. I like the little campfire things. It does two things. One, it creates a better connection, right, with people who are listening. So if you're a coffee lover, hey, we're speaking the same language, and you get to know us a little
Welcome
bit
to the
better.
chat.
Yeah, welcome to the chat. So I think that's a cool way before we get into like the heart of the topics and stuff like that, or top of mind day. I like the little like, hey, catching up. Hey, what do you do for this? Right. So that's perfect.
And we care about you guys out
Mhm.
there in the listening space and the watching space because we like to mix it up too.
Mhm.
If you notice, sometimes we start off with different something fun, but we'll just call this the wet your whistle segment and
I need that. Yeah. Yeah.
add the little
Sound
sound
effects.
effect.
As we get sponsorship, sound effects will shortly arrive.
Mark this episode. That's what's happening.
So,
All right,
so
man.
what are we talking about today? I know you had something itchy. I know you Marco Polo'd me a couple times. So
Yep.
what's the topic? What can we get into that hopefully will bring some value to some dads out there or some parents out there?
I can tell you right now, there are plenty of dads out there that have the same question. And so, without further ado, we're going to interview Rob on this one
See,
and
this
get
is why I
his
love
take.
Travis. He always sends me messages like, "Hey, do you want to know or don't you want to know?" 90% of the time, I don't want to know, right? Because then I get into preparing for it and stuff like that. I'd rather just. It's much easier if we just talk.
There's
So
value in the riff, in the riffing,
exactly.
So yeah, it makes it fun. I think we should always stick with this. Every once
No,
in a while,
I-
I mean, every once in a
well,
while, we could bring in some cool stuff
yeah,
if
but
you
you know
want.
what? At the same time, like this is our thing, right? This is
Yeah,
this is
it's
how
in
we
dad in real life.
normally chat and talk. So we're
Yeah,
just recording.
yeah. So here's the question. Um, Say you run into this. The question is, what do you do? Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So it just so happens
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow is
Mm-hmm.
Saturday,
Yes, it is.
and all of my children are going to be taken by their grandma.
Sorry.
And
As soon as you said Taken, all I'm thinking is the
Liam
movie
Neeson.
series. Yes. Oh, that's all
Or
I thought about.
you were thinking series of unfortunate events.
No,
Which one were
Liam
you thinking?
Neeson's
Oh
Taken.
yes,
All three
yes,
of
yes,
those
yes,
movies. I was just thinking
yes.
of that. Your
Yep,
kids are
yep.
taken. What do you do? I'm calling Liam. That's what I'm doing. Right? I'm calling Liam. But continue. Okay, so grandma's got the kids.
They're
Grandpa's got
picked
the kids.
up
They're picked up on a Saturday.
legally, you know.
Legally.
So somebody that you didn't trust
No one
your
disarmed the
children to.
alarm, the house alarm, and
Yeah.
secretly took them. Okay.
This is going great. So they're gonna be gone
Okay.
all day long, and all of a
Okay.
sudden, you who have children do not have children for the day, and
No,
you and your
now
wife.
was this planned? Like, hey, grandma, or they like, hey guys, we're in town. We're gonna come pick up the kids. So that you can answer that
Ooh,
after you finish the question,
ooh,
but the
yep.
answers could be different. The answers could be different. So
Okay. Yeah. Well, honestly, I think I want to hear both.
okay.
But this was a little bit more last minute. Generally speaking, our Nana Fridays are on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
This just kind of swapped up a little bit because the cousins hanging out and other things.
Right.
So it is now Nana Saturday. And so it's going to change the dynamic of when we drop them off, when we pick them up, and all that jazz. So
Mm-hmm.
pretty much we have a full day. And the sometimes a lot of times, especially on a Friday, it's more like, okay, I got to get these things checked off the list. So
Yeah.
we're working, we're doing the things we need to do. But because it's a Saturday, I thought, like, man, I let's preface with this. I owe my wife some quality time, and I want to be intentional
Mm-hmm.
about the time. And so with every person as it goes, the situation is going to be unique for each individual out there,
Yeah.
but in general, if you all of a sudden have unlocked some free time with your
Mm-hmm.
spouse, um, what are your go-tos? What are you gonna decide to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of curious. Maybe we find some little nuggets, some little Rob Gold nuggets here, of maybe something that's a typical thought process in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
or because for me, a lot of times, because I am not as organized
Mm-hmm.
in nature,
Mm-hmm.
and not as good with planning ahead. I'm a procrastinator at heart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I miss the opportunity to do special things because I usually go, well, I'm too late, or like,
Yeah.
I don't
You
know if
only
it's
have
going
an
to be that
hour.
great.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I would expect that there are probably a lot of dads out there that kind of just talk themselves out of some good ideas because
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah.
like, what if something comes up, or I should go and paint the back shed, or I should mow the lawn.
Yeah.
No, embrace the moment. So, Rob, you're going to
Opportunity. Embrace the opportunity, right?
embrace the opportunity. What does that look like?
So I think there's different stages, right? And like I said, our audience could be at different stages of life. So I'm going to give a few answers. And if I miss a stage, Travis, just chime in, let me know afterwards, and I'll kind of fill in the blanks.
I got
Um,
you.
yeah. So let's say it's more of a last minute thing, right? It's not a planned Saturday, as in like Friday afternoon, we get the call from Nana, like, hey guys, can't make it in today, but we're going to pick them up tomorrow from 8 a.m. until like bath time, right? Which is pretty much a full day.
Yep.
So with that taken into consideration that it is last minute, and I have that with my wife, and it depends on the stage of life, right? So right now,
Yep.
in this current stage of life, and
Remind the people what stage of
oh,
life you're
okay,
in.
so let me give you kind of, I guess, reference points, right? So I've been with my wife, my spouse, for 26 years, right? We have three children, oldest being 12. So that's a lot of, tire on the road. That's a lot of traction, a lot of growing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what we've learned in this stage of life is we don't need a lot of time, as in minutes and hours, away from the kids. We don't need a lot of time away from each other, right? And so with that aspect is because we run so hot all the time, as in like kids activities, work activities, right? Our own activities. A lot of times when those opportunities come up where we can take the responsibilities of managing three little ones off our plate, we slow down. So we don't
Mm.
necessarily need to go out and do the checklist, because we can do the checklist on Monday. It's part of our daily routine anyways. So instead of that, we dwindle it down to just one thing. I know that sounds funny, like, hey, but you have 8 hours. Like, yeah, we don't need to add more of more, right? We actually want to do less. And so it might be that one thing. It might be, hey, let's go get some coffee together and brunch, right? It might be, let's go for a hike or a walk in a place we normally don't do our hike and walk. And again, context, I am lucky enough and thankful that I actually get to do like regular check-ins with my wife daily. Like we either get coffee, we go for a walk, or we work out together in the garage, even if it's only for 15, 20 minutes. And we do that as our check-in. So context wise, that's why we would dwindle it down. Now, before this, when I was running a brick and mortar, let's say there was a Saturday and I didn't have these check-ins, these opportunities connect, then like how you kind of set this up, teed this up, then I would probably try to do a little bit more on that day, knowing that I'd be going back to the grind after, and I don't know when this opportunity would come up again. So I might be like, hey, I'm in Orange County. Might be like, hey, we're gonna go down to San Diego for the day. Okay, we're gonna go to one of your favorite restaurants down there, and we're just gonna window shop. And if you find something nice, awesome. So it might be something like that. So back to current state, current kind of look. Another thing I do is I try to pay attention to her to-do list, right? Like, what does she need to do to feel like she's accomplished for the day, for the week? Is there something on her list that she's been putting off? I'll make a big effort to do that with her, right? So I'm not talking like home chores, but it might have been like a bag she's always wanted, but we didn't really have a chance to check out Nordstrom Rack, right? Like we haven't been able to because of our schedules. Or
Mhm.
it's, I noticed she sent me a few Instagram reels of this brunch place that might be a little bit outside of our 10-mile radius circle. So by paying attention to those things, I try to make an effort to do one of those things on that day, right? So it's not only a surprise, it's kind of a fulfillment of something that she's wanted. And not to go too deep, but understanding communication and love languages of your spouse is really important, right? Do they like gifts? Do they like quality time? Is it touch? So knowing that, right, then I try to fulfill one of those things for her. So it's not complicated. It doesn't need to be like pre-planned marching band, limousine, all that kind of stuff. It's just knowing that I'm paying attention, right? Knowing that, oh, wow, okay, although some days might feel like two ships in the night, we're still sending light signals, SOS to each other, right? We're still paying attention. So I try to do that as much as we can. And again, my context is different than a lot of people because thankfully we do get to do a daily check-in. Like if we don't get coffee together, we're either moving, like exercise or walking at least once a day during like between pickup time and lunch or something like that. On the weeks that either I'm traveling or that are super busy, we still get at least one or two touch points. But if grandpa and grandma, like if we're traveling and they're like, hey guys, here's 8 hours, do what you want to do. Sometimes it might be like she grabs a book, I grab a book, we go sit outside and we read. Like we could just literally do that. So, but again, that's 26 years. I'm not in the, honeymoon stage of the relationship where I'm like, okay, we're gonna do something huge, right? Like we're gonna buy tickets to Cirque du Soleil. We're gonna do that. Right. So
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
us now in this stage of our life, it's more of like appreciation of being present, an appreciation of paying attention to one another, an appreciation to know that I don't need much and that this is enough. Right. And we talked a little bit about enough, and we'll talk about that in another podcast. But that would be my answer as far as like if we had time, we wouldn't try to pack it, right? Because our days are already packed. We would try to do like one thing, literally, because that's kind of in line with what we try to do on the weekends. It's like, let's do one thing, be excited about one thing. So we're not overloading our nervous system and our to-do list. So how about you? You're the one who has the Saturday free. What's the
Here I
plan? What
am.
comes to mind to
Here I
you?
am. Well, I just was taking mental notes because I realized my pencil doesn't work anymore because I dipped it in epoxy. That was
Oh,
silly.
that's nice.
This is what happens when you work in the workshop.
Yeah.
So,
You
um,
use the pencil to mix the epoxy because you can't find any other stick.
yeah, I was like, where to go? Where to go? Dang it. Um, or something like that. I was of the sort. Um, man, yeah. So, well, that's what made me start thinking about this question, and I love your kind of focus on one thing. because it makes the one thing really, quality, quality over quantity,
And
right?
I think, and it's what you talked about earlier. It's like, I think dads get overwhelmed because they feel like they need to go big, right? Like, oh man, I don't know when's the next time Nana and Pops is going to be around to take care of the kids. So we need to do all this, and this. And unless your spouse, that's the pace they like to move at, a lot of
Yeah.
times it'll be too much for them, right? It's
Yeah.
like, hey, like I don't want to do that much. So I think making sure that you have communication and talks prior to be like, hey, if we did have a couple hours free, what do you want to do? And so that when that opportunity comes up, you kind of remember that, you go back to that notepad and be like, hey, just one thing, make it super simple, right? Make it thoughtful, right? And then, cherish the rest of the time of it being quiet without little ones all over the place.
That is a golden nugget that I think people should take away if they were zoning out or while they were driving listening to this. That is something to take away. I think we've talked about it, maybe I don't know if it was offline or if it was on one of the previous episodes, but
Mhm.
um you in those daily check-ins, every
Mhm.
once in a while you hear something that your
Yes.
spouse says, and I'm not saying I'm a pro at this. Usually
No,
it comes down to we're talking intentionally about something I missed, you know. And then it's, oh yes, yes, now I have the
I'm
notepad
back on
out,
track. Yeah,
you
I'm
know.
back on track.
So if you want to do better than Travis, here's what you should remember: take note of
Yes.
those little things that she mentions, put it in your phone wherever you might have it stored, and just use that for later,
And
because again, you're expressing she's feeling loved one way or the other. You haven't even done anything yet, but you remembered that thing that she mentioned
and and
previously.
and you know what? This goes for dads and moms because it works both ways.
Yeah.
But this works, and let me just tell you the scenario. So often now, when we're having conversations, and she says like a golden nugget that I don't want to forget, I'll pull out my phone and I'll let her know, hey, I'm just taking note of this. Versus like, why are you on your phone? I'm trying to have a conversation with you, right? And
Yeah.
so I let her
Yeah.
know, like, hey, I don't want to forget this. This is important to you and it's important to me. But knowing me, I will forget this because this is not the last thing we talk about, right? This might be the first couple things. So I'll literally
Yep.
take the notepad out on the smartphone, write it down, and then put it away. But then I have it. And not only that, she knows I have it, right?
Yep.
So
Yep. She can only appreciate that. If somebody's
exactly,
like, "How
exactly. So
dare
don't
you
be
take note
afraid.
of that? What I said,"
Yeah,
then
don't
something
try to
something
remember.
else is wrong. Oh man. Yeah. So, yeah. So I was trying to. This is what I was doing. Is I was bouncing back between like, should we just make sure we go get some breakfast,
Mhm.
or should I take her out? Like, how far can we drive and then still make it back in time?
Yeah.
You know, so there's, yeah, but the really in our season, we are similar to you in the sense of like, well, we're far enough along, it's
Mhm,
not fresh in the game. Like
mhm,
we've
mhm.
we're coming up on 11 years. I mean, we've been together like 13 if you're counting the dating time,
Of
so
course.
half of you. But well, we know what we like, what we don't like, and that kind of thing. So um I'm thinking this will be interesting because this is going to come out way after. It's like
Mhm.
either I bombed it or I did
We'll
great.
do
We'll
a
see.
follow-up, episode
She's
where
going
it's
to
like
listen to this for
yeah.
sure. So then she's going to be like, "Hey, what happened to that whole plan that you
What
had?"
yeah, what happened to the marching band? I didn't get the marching band. What happened to that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I like that idea.
yeah.
Yeah, no, so we something that we loved doing, this just kind of sparked a thought in my mind that I
There you
might
go.
I might actually pull out, is we we are both the same in that we like shopping, which is dangerous. I think I'm kind of an enigma or something. I Most guys, they're like, "Oh, I just got to get to the store and get the thing and get out."
Yeah.
you know um for me, it's like I go to Costco and I like go down
Take your
every
time.
aisle.
Take
And
your time.
like Deb was upset last time, not upset, but she was like, "Seriously, I'm not coming to Costco with you again," because I'm like, I gotta hit up all the spots. I gotta see
Yeah.
if that freezer is on sale again, like. So yeah, so I like to take my
Peruse.
sweet time,
To
but so does
peruse.
she. So does she. So we both uh we both enjoy that space. That is something that we both can do with great ease.
So
But
Deb,
in the
he's taking
sense,
you to Costco. If you're listening to this later,
yeah, Costco date. Yeah, yeah. Every time I'm like, I think I'm gonna get a hot dog. She's like,
yeah.
ew, what?
Hey, Kirkland hot dog,
Uh,
legit, legit.
yeah, yeah, and you can't beat the price, man.
No, no.
Come on. Um, but yeah, so we I think I'm gonna try and take her to like an antique shop or something. We used to
Oh,
do that a
nice.
lot. I mean, I well, it's not up here yet, but I got the hand plane on the
I
wall
see that. I see
at
that.
that is my
Classic.
tried and true, my number 5.
Is it
And
functional? Still
it's oh
functional?
yeah, so I use it constantly on almost every project. I end up having to pull it out.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, I bought, that was like one of the first things I bought back when I was starting to woodwork was the hand plane, because I was like, well, I don't have any money to spare, so I'm gonna get a hammer and a hand plane and a
There you
saw,
go.
and we'll see what we can make with that. I made like a little crate to like hold stuff, and I was like, I did it. I made a box. So we're a little past that now, but
You're a lot past
anyways,
that now.
yeah, it's coming together, this place.
Shops are
Speaking of
good.
which, if you're watching, my hope is that next week, if you're watching consistently, well, then you notice I changed spots. But if you're watching now, this wall hopefully will be more full of the fun stuff the
Mhm.
next time. It's just it's ruminating this shop space. Um, we'll have to do a tour sometime.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
anyways, I digress. Yeah, I think that might be like a fun one thing to focus on. But then we'll sprinkle in, like yeah, I'm just gonna say, let's go to Starbucks and pick up your favorite drink, because
Exactly.
that's a guaranteed A plus.
There you
We'll
go.
just stamp that on there to start things off right. That's her thing. Also, if you find yourself on a 7 or an 8 or a 9 or a 10 on the coffee scale, you don't
Mhm.
drink Starbucks. So
No, you
you've
gotta step
left
that up.
that.
You gotta step that up.
Um, but she appreciates Starbucks, so we'll still go.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't they every once in a while Starbucks comes out with one drink that I like, and I'll do it. So like
Mhm.
summertime, there's this like iced lavender matcha tea. That's not even coffee.
No.
It's fantastic. I love it.
You gotta give it a
But
try.
never the coffee.
Yeah.
No, no thanks.
Like where we're at, there's so many specialty coffee shops, and I'm big into supporting small businesses. So like if we want coffee, we're gonna go get someone who likes to talk about coffee. Like we're gonna go shop at an owner who works behind the bar kind of coffee place. A place
Yeah.
like, it's almost like the Cheers, but non-alcoholic, right? Like caffeinated Cheers. It's like that's what it is. And so we have a couple spots that literally like we walk
Yes.
in and even there's a line, our order is already done by the time we get to the cashier because the baristas know, like creatures of habit, right? Espresso, they already know what I'm drinking. They know what
Oh,
Mo's drinking. And so they
yeah.
just go and pay, and it makes it that much easier. But I was going to also like kind of a tangent is, if we do for us, like let's say the one thing is brunch, we'll probably go someplace that maybe not as conducive for kids to be there kind of a place. You
Yes.
know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Like antique store, like maybe not the best as far as like you have eyes like an eagle, like watching the
Yeah.
kid. So that would be the only kind of filter. We'd probably do something that's a little bit more appropriate as far as adult environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
We
for
could
sure,
go see a
coffee.
movie. Man, like as a parent, when was the last time
Oh
you
yeah,
went and saw a movie? I mean, oh, well, once your kids get old enough, then there's that.
yeah.
So
I
that's
can,
a
I
that's a
can tell
thing.
you. Like last time with Mo, I can talk. I went recently with my oldest, but the last time I couldn't tell you when we went to watch a movie.
Yeah. So I think that's what we're gonna do. But I mean, you know what? I really want to stick to the coffee tangent, because if somebody likes coffee, they're gonna be in on this episode. I'm just
I
telling
know
you.
it seems to be a
I
coffee
know.
coffee themed episode.
I know you're gonna be. I mean, we're gonna be famous one day. So everybody's gonna be listening
Don't
to the Dad in Real
don't tell
Life
my kids,
podcast.
but yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. But so you might not want to divulge this personal information, but
Mm,
you said you're in Orange County.
I am.
What's the shout out for the coffee
Oh
spots?
my
What
goodness.
are the spots to
Um,
go to if you're in
our
the
our
OC?
go oh my goodness, there's so much.
I know there's a
Um,
million. They
there
won't feel
are
bad. The ones that we forget to mention, just you know.
okay, so a couple places would be Kit Coffee, great coffee.
Mm,
They have a couple locations. Hola Adios is kind of like our small town, old town Tustin kind of coffee shop. They're in
yes.
Old Town. They have like an old building, standalone building, so it's really really nice there. Coffee Dose is kind of this up and coming coffee place. They make really good cold brew mixtures. I think that would be the kind of top three, but literally you can't go. There's so many specialty coffee places.
Yeah.
Truth be told, a lot of them use the exact same roasters, like Common Room and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
their mixtures and their, oh, another shout out is Raised by Lions. Opened up maybe a year ago, year and a half ago. Great coffee, small place, kind of on the border of Santa Ana. Yeah, good
Yeah.
coffee, good baristas,
Ooh.
everything's good. So
See, I feel you're saying it, and now I
look at
have the FOMO. Like,
Look at
oh,
this.
I haven't lived
Raised
there in so long.
Kit, right? We got Raised by Lions.
Hey, there it is.
Focus. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. See, so I was in SoCal for the first, 20,
Yeah. How
how
about,
many,
yeah,
27
what are
years
your
of my
go-to
life.
coffee places down here?
Well, see, I truly only became a 7 or an 8 on the coffee scale once I got up to NorCal. So,
Okay, so do you have any
um,
spots by
so
you,
what's the well, I
or when
gotta,
you're traveling in NorCal that you go to? Like,
yeah,
I've got a couple
so
spots that I go to whenever I'm traveling up by you,
yeah.
or like Pacific Northwest. I mean, we could really kind of geek out about this, but
Oh
there's
yeah.
some
Oh yeah.
roasters that I get delivered, right? Because I like the coffee. So,
Yes. So the one that's near me,
mhm.
it's technically Sac County, but it's like more eastern, closer to Folsom where I'm at.
Mhm.
Is it's called Pause Coffee.
Hmm.
They have great stuff. They brew Onyx is the brand of the coffee that they
Oh,
use,
no
but
way. Yeah, I like Onyx.
yeah. I love that place. I always judge the place based off if the first time I ever go to a nice coffee shop, I get their cappuccino to try.
Ooh, I like that.
So it just that tells me what I need to know, and then from there I'll branch out. Yeah, so there's that's a good one, and then a place that's kind of growing. There's a lot of them, but like they have really good coffee is Temple.
I
I
love
think that might
Temple.
be yeah, Temple's in SoCal too. So
Mhm.
that's pretty good. But the other one that if you find yourself in Auburn, in NorCal, there's
Mhm.
a place called Poor Choice. It is so good. I love Poor
I like the
Choice.
play on
It's
words there too. That's
yes,
pretty good.
uh-huh, uh-huh. So that is a destination to make it to if you're anywhere nearby. I drive, I'll drive. I don't even remember how far it is now. It's like 30 minutes or something,
Yeah,
but
I will drive for coffee. Like, I'm not
yeah.
um what's it, Bear Coast? I think down in Dana Point. Like, I'll drive to Dana Point to get coffee, which is literally like a half-hour drive, 40-minute drive. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many good roasters in California, really good spots.
Yep.
It's definitely the game has changed, so you can't go wrong. Not only that, I wanted to reference back to Starbucks. Sometimes the same drink is roughly the same price, so it's like, well, if they're the same price, before we go to Starbucks, because Starbucks beat a lot of people by price, right? But
Yep.
now it's like a cold brew is $5 here, it's 5.50 at Starbucks. Like,
Yep.
okay,
Yep. They're getting crazy over there with like charging for their syrups and stuff. You're
yeah,
like, it's gonna cost me like $8 extra for 2 pumps. Like, what are you talking about?
exactly.
Oh man, don't get me
I
started.
bought my own vanilla syrup, right?
Shoot. Yeah. Well, and then but that is I will say that's an indicator too. Is well, not an indicator, but I will only go so far. So there's a coffee shop that's nice right at the corner. Like literally, I can walk there in like 3 minutes,
Okay.
or
Nice.
less.
By the way,
But
nice.
yeah, it's great, but they're expensive. Like, and the ambiance isn't that great. So it's not quite the best vibe, but they like, and
Is it because they're the only spot in the area? Because that's another reason
no,
why some people would increase their price. Because, like, hey, we're the only guys that do pour overs. Like, that's why it's $8.
yeah, no, it's matcha is expensive in general. I like
Yes.
matcha,
Yes.
but it's like 9.50 or $10
Ooh.
for matcha with oat milk,
Oh my
and it's
goodness.
just like no, like I draw the line.
Do they
I'm
milk
like
the oats like right there? Like
I
the
yeah,
milk
yeah,
oats right
yeah,
there?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Just it's kind of ridiculous.
yeah.
So, anywho, yeah, there is I draw a line. I mean, I like nice coffee, but I mean, there's plenty of good coffee out there for like $6 or $7.
Yeah.
Let's not. go
Let's not go
crazy.
too crazy. I like that how the fact that like you have a tester drink, and I think hey, if you're listening to this or you're watching this, let us know in the comments like what's your go-to drink to know whether or not you're coming back to the coffee shop, right? Everyone's got one.
Yep.
So cappuccino for me, it's just going to be a double espresso, like straight up. I want to see how it pours. I want to see how it pulls. And
Yeah.
if that's good, I have a strong feeling that when you mix that, um, like a cappuccino, it's got to be good, right? So I'm
Yep.
always that espresso or Americano kind of. That's my tester. That's my go-to. So
Yes. That's a great choice. I like
mhm.
that a lot. Yep. Man. So so really all this to say, the nice thing is if somebody's out there wondering what they could do,
Yes,
a lot of people out there like coffee. I feel like that covers a
yeah,
lot of us.
yeah.
And so you
If
guys
you're
can
a
go to one of
parent,
those places. If you're in
it's a lifeblood.
California,
Yeah,
you
it's
can
a
go there.
lifeblood, right? If you have kids, coffee is the
Yeah.
lifeblood. Like you need your caffeine.
So
So
start your free day, your kid free day with that, and
I
then
might even
move
make a
from
cup of
there.
coffee at home, right? The fact that you made it, that's a big deal too, right? So
Yep, yep, yep. Unless you're my wife and you get
Starbucks.
coffee in bed every morning from your
Ooh,
husband who
okay.
makes
Hey,
makes
buddy.
you.
Hey, pipe down there.
Man. See this?
Pipe down.
See this bar? You can't
Pipe.
even see it. It's
No,
it's out.
because
It's out of the
it's
frame.
impossible to achieve. That's why, right? Like, no, no,
Yeah.
that's too much.
Shout out to Deb. Love you. Okay. So yeah, I like that. You know, we covered a lot of coffee. We covered
Mhm,
the basics of setting up a day, a successful day. Don't
mhm.
don't over so here's what I'm taking. Don't
What are the
overstress.
takeaways? Takeaways, yeah.
Don't overstress, yourself. don't
Yeah.
don't make it more than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Pick one thing that's going to be your thing.
Mhm.
And what you can use to pick your one thing is potentially some of those notes that you've taken from
Exactly.
previous conversations.
The
If you
the
don't have
magic
any,
cheat sheet, right?
yep, if you don't have any, then
Start
uh
collecting. Start
yeah,
collecting
start
now,
collecting. And and
right?
and I, it's nice to surprise. They like to be surprised,
Mhm.
from time to time, but it's not a bad thing to communicate either.
Mhm.
I think they'll appreciate it just as much if you're asking so that you can make the best use of your time
I
as
think
well.
the longer you're together, I think they'll appreciate it more,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause in the beginning, it was like roses, flowers, maybe some chocolates, right? Like all, which is great. Don't get me wrong, still works, right? Tried and true. But
Yeah. And there's that surprise me. I
yeah,
was
yeah.
whatever.
But after a while, it's like, okay, got it. Chocolate. Yep. What else? Right.
Uh-huh. Or
What else?
like, hey, with kids, it's like, no, we really want to make this count. So let's do that thing that we have wanted
Mhm,
to do.
mhm.
Let's
But
not pitter patter with
yeah,
this
we've
B
got
level
4 hours. We
stuff.
got 4 hours. What's the radius? Like you said, we can drive and get back.
Uh-huh.
So, but like you said, yeah, make it simple, make it meaningful, right? Meaningful just means you're paying attention, right?
Yep.
And sometimes make it something that you normally wouldn't do with kids, right? So, like when we go out and eat, there's definitely a Rolodex of restaurants that are more family oriented. And there's a couple restaurants that we like to go that's like, for instance, sushi, right? That probably
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
work all the time with the girls, but for mom and me, oh yeah, that's definitely one of the spots we'll hit up for a dinner for a date night, right?
That's next on my list because I miss sushi greatly.
Gotcha.
So, man, now I'm gonna start thinking about sushi.
Hey,
So we gotta roll this. We
when
gotta
you come
roll this
down,
up.
when you guys come
Yep.
down and we do the in-person podcast, we'll get some sushi. We'll get some sushi. There's a great place right by us. So we'll
Bwah,
get
bwah,
it. Yeah, we'll
bwah.
get it
That's the
delivered.
sound for that.
That's
Add
when you know
it.
it's a good sushi place because nobody really likes delivered sushi. But we tried it during the time when we could only eat delivered food, and
Yes.
it was legit. It was good.
Shoot.
Yeah,
Okay.
good
Oh, I'm
time.
excited. I'm excited. All right. Well, as always, remember everyone, we aren't experts.
No, we're not even gurus. Actually, we're just dads in real
Dads
life.
in real life.
In real life. Yep.
In real life.
Yeah, that's it. Dads in real life.